If you're a wellness center business owner and if you're running meta ads and if you want to capitalize on your budget and get the highest ROI possible, this video is for you. Now, this video is not for you, and this is no sarcasm intended, but if you're in the top 0.01% or top 1% of wellness centers, which then means you're probably more than 100% satisfied with your marketing efforts, which then probably means your appointment slots are always booked out 100%, if not close to that number. Now, again, that's no sarcasm intended. Congratulations, kudos to you. You're running an amazing business. You probably are not going to find this information relevant. But for the majority of people who want to generate the most leads and prospects from their meta ads and get the highest ROI possible and increase their revenue as much as possible, this video is for you. Now, I would probably guess and assume that a question popping in your head as you're hearing me talk is, am I full of crap? To provide some context, this is not tooting my own horn. I just want to give you context into who I am and what I do. Is I've analyzed over 100% of the top wellness centers in the 10 biggest cities in the country at the time of creating this training document. The number was 100. Currently, at the moment of this recording, the number is over 100 in terms of the amount of wellness centers that I've analyzed. Now, my team and I only serve wellness centers that help people optimize their health. So if you offer services like infrared sauna, cryo, PEMF, oxygen therapy, just to name a few, this video is for you. You know, you're the kinds of people and you're the kinds of businesses and wellness centers that we serve. Not a pitch, just providing context into who we are and what we do. Now, this is still highly applicable to you if you don't offer any of those services specifically. So maybe you offer, homeopathy, like you're an alternative medicine practitioner. Maybe you have some kind of holistic center. This is still for you. I highly, highly recommend to keep watching. Now, I'm not hating, I'm not throwing shade at larger companies who serve multiple industries or a broader range of health related industries, like maybe businesses out there and companies out there that serve chiropractors, doctors, a whole bunch of different subcategories. I'm not throwing shade. Typically, however, solutions that those companies offer do reflect more of a generalized approach just because they have to serve so many different kinds of businesses and so many different kinds of markets. So again, that's no critique by any means. I just want to use a little analogy and example that I think is relevant and that you guys could wrap your head around. It's like taking generic weight loss pills when you implement or when you can implement specific dietary changes to improve your gut, and when you can also use infrared sauna to burn a ton of calories and detox, coupled with cold exposure to burn brown fat and boost metabolism. Now, the big mistake that many wellness centers make is they assume that every single person that they're targeting and every single person that their ad is reaching is ready to buy, when that's just not the case. I mean, would you ask somebody to marry you on the first date, just to use a dating analogy? The answer is no, right? You would never do that. So that's kind of the same concept when you're asking somebody to book an appointment or, you know, buy maybe a supplement that you're offering on your website as well. If if that's the kind of ad that you're running, the answer 99% of the time, 99.9% of the time is no. You would never ask somebody to marry you. So the question is, why are you asking everyone seeing your ad to just pull the trigger and buy, right? Roughly speaking, only about 3% of your market is ready to buy. Around 17% is gathering info. And then 20% is maybe aware of a problem that they're having, like inability to lose weight effectively, poor energy, poor sleep, which is obviously where infrared sauna, cold plunging, some dietary tips, if you offer that, would come into play, right? And then a much larger segment of your local market is not even aware that they have a problem. Now, again, these numbers might be slightly different if, for example, maybe a post on Instagram, like a clip from a Joe Rogan podcast, for example, or Gary Brecka, Huberman, maybe. If a clip like that took off and gained a lot of traction and popularity in your local market, within a 5, 10, 15, 20-mile radius, it got a lot of impressions, engagement, then maybe these numbers are slightly different. But for the most part, they're extremely relevant to your market. And quite frankly, these numbers are relevant to most industries and most markets out there. Is the majority of people are not ready to pull the trigger and take action and make a payment. So what happens when you are assuming that everyone's ready to buy is that the elements of your ad are not going to resonate with as many people as possible. So that would be your headline, subheadline, creative, copy. Now, I'm not going to touch on the psychology of how an ad should be structured on Facebook and Instagram. There are tons of studies and there are, specific things that you need to implement within your elements to satisfy the consumer psychology and get the most amount of clicks as humanly possible. There are certain ways that you need to structure your headline, copywriting, stuff like that. This video is not going to be touching on that specifically. If you are interested in that, I do recommend leaving a comment, shooting me a message, and I'll make more content specifically on how an ad should actually be structured in terms of the hyper-specific layout of the ad. So I just want to make that clear that I'm not going to be touching on those elements specifically. But really, when the ad overall is not resonating and it's not targeting the broader segment, you're going to have lower conversions, higher CPL, increased CPM, and a higher cost per acquired customer than necessary. Now, if you don't know what these two metrics mean, is this is cost per lead and this is cost per 1,000 impressions. When you begin to actually change the mindset behind how you structure your campaigns and ads, you're going to maximize your ROI, which is going to allow you to increase your budget on Meta, which is going to lead to more customers and more bookings, but you're also going to be able to take those additional profits and roll them into other channels, which it's very, very effective and efficient to have other channels within your marketing. Now, I do have a separate video that is directly touching on the proper marketing approach to your wellness center, which is a hybrid conjugate approach. I do have a different video on that, which you can find in my YouTube channel. Now, what you need to be doing is you need to understand that in a world where people are being sold to hundreds and thousands of times, not only throughout their feed when they're scrolling, but also when they're taking a bus, when they're out in public, when they're on TV, there's always constant pressure to buy something. So you have to begin to promise value with no sales pitch on the front end. What that means is your marketing is strictly based on providing value. What happens when you do that is prospects are going to now question and have the thought pop up in their head of, wow, this content's super valuable. I can't imagine what I would get if I buy one of their services, or if I buy, a supplement that is being advertised to me. So that question should be popping up in every prospect's head when they're clicking on that highly valuable piece of content that is not asking them to buy, that it's just simply providing value. That thought should be popping in their head. That should be the goal of your campaigns, is to get that thought popping in their head of, wow, they gave this to me for free. What if I buy, a monthly membership for infrared sauna or some kind of service package? And that's because you establish yourself as a trusted authority who's not just trying to get a quick buck. And when you do this, you're targeting and resonating with your entire local market, because whether or not somebody is ready to buy, or if they're doing research into infrared sauna or homeopathy, for example, or why does PEMF work, regardless if they're in those stages that are more progressive down the ladder in terms of actually approaching a purchase, or if they're not even aware of a problem, right? Your content is going to grab their attention and get them to take action by actually giving you contact info to then send them the highly valuable piece of content. I want you to ask yourself, what percent of your market would be interested in valuable content, regardless if they're aware of an issue, ready to buy, or if they have no clue what these services are, yet alone that they even exist, which is a lot of people. A lot of people don't know that infrared sauna, PEMF, cryo, a lot of this stuff can really change their lives. So ask yourself, what percentage of your market would be interested in extremely valuable content? The answer is 100%. if you were dating somebody, right, and if they paid for dinner on the first date and if they paid for dinner 5 years into engagement, would you be happy and grateful either way? Yeah, you probably would be, right? So it's the same thing when you're providing extremely valuable content to your local market. What happens is you're going to increase and improve your overall metrics. Now, I'm not going to dive into the specific target metrics for CPL, CPA, CPM. This video is not about that. Now, if you are very interested in how to read metrics properly and how to take the relevant feedback from those metrics, please comment. Please let me know that you're interested in that type of content, and I will make a video just like this touching on those specifics. And really, just lo and behold, is you're going to have a larger and more prospects in your pipeline, which is going to have a lower cost per acquired customer, and you're going to be getting more clients and making more money. Now, how to do it is you need to have a highly, highly valuable piece of content to capture contact details. This is referred to as a HVCO. That's not my term. Shout out Sabri Subi for that one. He's a genius in the marketing space. And what you have to do is now incorporate effective nurturing sequences and retargeting campaigns to generate a large percent of those new bookings. But then you do want to capitalize on the hyperactive buyers, because for every 100 people that are clicking on your ad, you're going to have people that are hyperactive and are ready to pull the trigger, as we talked about before. So you want to basically have a redirected thank you page that has a Godfather offer and Godfather strategy. Again, shout out Sabri Subi for that one. Genius, absolute baller in the space of marketing as a whole. Now, if you are interested in breaking down the HVCO, which goes hand in hand with the Godfather strategy and Godfather offer, drop a comment, shoot me a message. I will gladly dive super deep into that specific strategy. But really, it allows you to just maximize your budget and your bookings, which increases your revenue and your bottom line. Why does it work? Is because the temperature of your copy, your offer, your call to action is matching the temperature of your traffic. So a lot of your market is cold traffic. They've never heard of you before. You need to match that and resonate with that traffic. The majority of people who have not heard from you are not going to pull the trigger on your offer unless you have the most genius implementation of call to action, guarantee, unconditional guarantees, but even that alone, it's just very, very hard to get to that point within your offer. And going back to the temperature of the copywriting, right, and the temperature of the offer and the call to action, after somebody downloads your HVCO, which is your highly valuable content offer or high value content offer, after they consume that, regardless of what format it's in, they're going to now be aware of vital statistics, pieces of info that they weren't previously aware of. They're going to just have an entirely different mindset when it comes to the services that you offer. That's going to allow them to actually, what's the word? For lack of a better word, respect and actually be willing to hear you out on the offer that you retarget them with within your nurturing sequences and within your Godfather strategy. So they're actually going to, have respect for the offer and have respect for what you do. Now, you might be thinking, what does he mean by that? Imagine you're running some kind of promotion for infrared sauna and you're assuming that everybody wants to buy. There's tons of people who have never even heard of infrared sauna. They've never even seen the studies behind it. They have no appreciation. That's the word I was looking for. They have no appreciation for infrared sauna and what it can do. So if you try and get everyone to buy, especially that massive segment, which is probably 60% who don't even know what that is, combined with the 20% who maybe know they have a sleep problem, so really that 75-80% of the market who can't really resonate or appreciate that offer or service, if you try and run an ad or an offer for that specifically off the bat, they're not going to even really appreciate it or even take the time to read about it. But once they download a highly valuable piece of content and get that and read it regardless of the format. There's many different formats, which is why I touched on the fact if you are interested in the in-depth breakdown of the high value content offer and Godfather strategy, please let me know. I would love to make a more in-depth video on that. For sake of a concise video and recording, I don't want to really touch on that now because this video would be an hour long, right? And I want to make it easy for you guys to digest. But that's kind of why I'm touching on the fact that the temperature of the copy has to meet the temperature of the traffic. Another example is if somebody has never heard of the benefits of cryo or cold plunging, for example, if they haven't seen the Joe Rogan podcast or seen somebody talk about it or have a friend and family member rave about the benefits, if they see an ad or an offer for that, they're not going to appreciate it or even know the background of why they should be concerned with that or why they should be open to just reading about it or be open to pulling the trigger. So that's what your HVCO does, is it makes people appreciate what you offer, and it just provides highly, highly valuable pieces of content. So what I will say is that needs to be very honed in on. You want to make sure that this is so amazing that they're wondering, oh my gosh, this alone changes my life. I can't imagine what happens if I book an appointment with these guys. They're going to just blow me away. So that's the point of this, is to just blow the socks off people and just make them go, oh my gosh, I didn't know this, I didn't know that. This is amazing. This statistic is amazing. Yada, 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 right? So your next steps, I highly recommend to shoot me a message on Facebook if you want access to this training doc. Comment, send me a message with any issue you're having or anything that you're struggling with, and I will make content on how you can fix it, whether it's related to client retention, customer lifetime value, generating more leads. It doesn't have to be related to Meta. Let me know. I will make content on it. It doesn't matter what the issue is. And the reason that this is in capitalized letters is I've spoken to people in the past where they go, oh, wow, I didn't know that you would make content on that for me if I touched on this specific issue. So my point for saying this is don't think anything's too dumb to ask for content on. I will make it. Now, if you are a little bit hesitant to or embarrassed to drop a comment with the issue you're having publicly on YouTube, you can send me a message. I have my Instagram and Facebook linked in my bio. So I really hope this changes the way that you think about Meta ads. I highly recommend changing your mindset around how you structure your campaigns. It will pay dividends. You will make more money and get a better ROI. Thank you for taking the time to watch this, and have a good day.